Paul, what's wrong? You're not a junior developer or a senior developer? Are you talking about titles of software developers? Yeah. Well, Paul, there's no in between. In programming, you are either a junior or a senior developer. Then you want to be called a first mate? What? Is that a Trader Joe's thing or something? Welcome to another episode of the Mighty Code Coder. I'm Rob Fitzgerald, here to make you great and help you innovate. In this episode, we are going to continue with our adhesive coding Mondays. That's right. It's exactly what we're going to do every Monday, and today is no different. So let's go ahead and log into our adhesive and show you what you're working on today. Okay, so if I go into adhesive and I log into your course, I will start with CS 101 or Intro to Computers. All right. And I think the first thing that would be beneficial is to show you the pacing guide for this week. All right, so I will go ahead and go into your modules. And I believe we're finishing up Unit 2. All right, so I could go over here. You guys don't have this button. I do. All right, and I could scroll down to your pacing guides. And remember, this is just a suggestion. You don't have to be here, and it's not a deadline, okay, or due date. Okay, I think a lot of teachers are starting to think about due dates and whether you have to have them or not. We talked earlier about binge watching shows or series, and sometimes your homework could be like that. We know you guys are very busy. You have a lot of things, a lot of sticks in the fire, and sometimes you don't have the time to get into this this curriculum, but you will, and you could binge watch it or binge do it. Okay, so here's where you guys are at. You guys are in week 2. Okay, I'm sorry, you're in week 7, and you're finishing up unit 2. All right, so you guys are going to go into your vocabulary and test review. You're going to go into an assignment area called room area, and we're going to take a look at that in a second. And then you're going to take the final unit 2 test. Now, I encourage you guys to do this by Friday, okay? But you really just have to do it by the next grading period, which is October 30th. But if you want to keep up with the pacing guide, you will have unit test 2 done, okay? And so that is your schedule for this week. And you can see in week 8, we are going to go into unit 3. All right, so let's open up Unit 2 and slowly kind of go over some of this stuff and see if you're keeping up, okay? All right, so I'm going to go out of that and back into your section here. And I think the first thing that would be great is if I revisited some of the stuff you were doing. I feel like we've had a lot of questions on 2.8, or I'm sorry, 2.5. And so let's open up that and see if there are some questions on it. So here's some code practice, and it's going to use a random class, okay? And basically this when I import random, I'm importing a random class that I could use its functions. Now, before I start on these projects, your teacher that's in adhesive, I wish I knew her name. I think I always forget her name. She probably did introduce herself at the beginning. I forgot what her name is. But she usually comes in here. There she is. And she usually comes in here and talks to you about what the lessons are. So part of your review, and partly if you get stuck, you're to watch these videos not once, but over again. Remember I showed you how to, you could 2 times the speed. All right, so if you don't want to hear all of it or go that slow, you can go faster. And here are the functions that you're working on random. So this is I think I'm walking through this because I'm trying to show you how I would take it on if I was having trouble. I would go back through and she's going to use some random stuff. In fact, she's going to use, try to get random numbers. So I know I could just copy and paste that code right there. All right. And you can scroll down and read some other stuff. Here's our ear sketch. But don't forget about ear sketch. It's still pretty fun. All right. So I don't know if you guys could hear this, but if I play this, it will actually play this sound randomly. Okay. So I think this is a great example. So is that playing? I think it's playing. I don't know if you guys could hear it, but it's recording it. So I think for recording purposes, it is playing. All right. Now you can see how a random function is picked because this is a tempo, and if some of you guys, if you guys know songs and what songs are about, they have a tempo to them. Okay, a beats per minute, I think they call it, and theirs is going to be between 45 and 220. Okay, and it's going to be random, which means every time you start this site, it will be a random music. So you just heard the beats per minute there. Let's see if there's a place on here it talks about beats per minute. Usually, if you had a player, it would have a section where it would tell you what the beats per minute are, and maybe some of you guys that are in band could help me read the scales here or whatever you call this to what the beat is there. Maybe you could see it. All right, but I'm not good with that stuff. But let's refresh the page and play it again. All right, so if we refresh the page, you'll see that the random is still 45 to 20, but it generates a new beat up here because it's randomly picking a tempo from 45 to 220. All right, so I don't know if you could hear this, but in the video you could hear that. Apparently, I think that'd be a faster beat because it's a little shorter, but again, band members, please help me with that. And it's the same song, but it's a little faster. It's a random. Okay, so you can go actually find out more about random numbers with these resources down here. All right, and I like this piece right here. They'll talk about random numbers from another site. Okay, where random numbers come from. Okay, you can go through that stuff to get more clarity about it, and you could also go into this random number generator YouTube channel where a guy actually took a random number from the static that's on the TV. Now, I realize that you guys may not know what this static was, but during analog, if you didn't have cable, this is what your TV did. Now, most TVs are just all digital, so you don't have the static. But back in the day, he was able to take a picture of this screen and just get a random number from it. Isn't that great? So watch that when you get a chance. Very cool. I like how her lessons have some auxiliary things for you to learn about random numbers. Okay, but that doesn't help you out with the problem. So let's go back to the problem on that. And so this has a random number. Now, I always try to get you guys to understand that you've got to very carefully read what it currently wants. So it says currently the program will add 6 and 3 together. See how it puts A for A and B, 6 and 3? And output the math problem and output the answer. Edit this code so that a random number is used to generate from 1 to 10 for variables A and B. Also, instead of adding the two numbers together, the edited program should multiply them. So if you're getting this wrong in the tester, in the grading piece, maybe you're not multiplying them as it's saying up here, okay? And output the proper math problem and answer it. Be sure to update every time the line of code reflects the change needed, okay? So we're gonna need that random piece, right? So how do I input something from the keyboard? I can go ahead and, first of all, take her random number, and remember it has to be from 1 to 10. All right, so I just cut and paste that right from her notes. All right, and then how do we want to basically input something. So if you're going to input something from keyboard, you have to have a variable to catch it. And here they have 6 and 3. So I actually could just let's X that out of here and let's make A equal paste, and let's have B equal paste that. All right, and so now I don't go X, I'll just have B. Oops. Okay, so I just do something like that. That would get a random integer from 1 to 10. Now, yeah, and that's an integer. I was wondering if it returns a string or an int, but this rand int, I think, takes the integer. All right, and then now the answer is A plus B, but they want A times B. Okay, so a times sign that you learned in your previous lessons is a asterisk. All right, so now string A, that'll be the number that's contained in here, plus we actually got to change this to times. Now in here you can put a times table like that, or a giant X, because that's usually what you use for times. All right, plus, okay, so this is not adding, this is concatenating the strings together. So this is a string, okay? Concatenation's a big word right there, right? All right, and then we add an equal, and then we add the string answer. Let's run this and see how many errors I have, okay? All right, here we go. So I run it, and there it is. 3 times 7 equals 21. I think that my math's right. Okay, if I run it again, it randomly picks 10 and 6, 60, and looks like I'm doing pretty good. Should we grade it? All right, let's go ahead and grade it. Everyone's like, yeah, grade it, grade it, grade it. Because everyone's like going, I get that, but then when I go to grade it, I get 33%. Let's run the code and check it. Give it time. It's just a computer. There it is. Look at it, I got 100%. And now if you're getting, remember, if you're not getting 100%, go look what the test is. It says the description of test 1 is this test case reads the output and verifies that there is a multiplication symbol in the output. Okay, so remember it had a plus. It's looking for that multiplication. And then this one says this test case, which is kind of in front of Paul here. Let's try to back it off so he's not in the way. All right, in this test case, checks to see that the variable A and the variable B are multiplied together and assigned to the variable answer. Now, I did notice that some people are putting X and Y. They're probably looking for the variable name A and B. It's kind of exact. And the variable name answer. All right, make sure answer is your answer variable name. All right, and so it shows you an expected right there. All right, and then your final one is the test here. All right, this test case extracts the lines from the source code used to assign values to variables A and B. This test case also runs the lines several times each to check if the numbers 1 to 10 are assigned at least once. So it's actually seeing if you're getting 1 through 10. Okay, so if it doesn't ever hit 10 or it doesn't hit 1, you're going to be wrong. So maybe you did your random, maybe you didn't do your random correctly. Okay, all right, so there it is. That's 2.5. So people had questions on that. I want to make sure I got that. Now it's on tape, so you can check that for yourself. And then I wanted to go ahead and do the assignment here. So I'm going to go up here, and there is an assignment towards the end called, it's kind of like a project, and it's assignment 2 room area. Okay, let's take a look at that because you might have questions on that. All right, so basically here's a room and you've got to get the area of it. So you're going to input, right here, you're going to input stuff like this. All right, 2, 4, 6, 11, and the output's going to be 11, 53.5. And it tells you exactly, remember, you got to read exactly what you want. Now, you kind of have the area for A, B, C, and D, and E, and you've got to just do some basic formulas, basically coming from your algebra class, all right, which is the area of a rectangle and the area of a right triangle, okay? So as you can see, if you get this area together, you have this length is A, this length is B, this length is C. So if I wanted to get the distance between here and here, it would be A minus C. Okay, if I wanted to get the area from this, or the length of this line from here to here, that would be D minus E. Okay, so as you can, I'm saying that because you know you guys are going to get a triangle, okay, a rectangle, and believe it or not, this looks like a square, but it's a rectangle also. You can use the same formula, which is length times width. All right, so you have to be able to use these formulas here and do some deduction on how to get the size of certain walls. And then you add them together and then get the answer. Okay, so I want to make sure that's clear. And I think you guys can nail that. And if you do get that done, keep going forward to the unit test, and that should take care of your adhesive coating Monday. Okay. All right, so for AP Computer Science Principles, I think it's appropriate on Coding Monday, okay, to show you what your pacing guide looks like. All right, so if I go here and I guess I got it, okay, and I go here, this was last week 2.7 iteration and procedures, solvability, okay, some of that stuff, and then you had a quiz at the end of the day. Remember, I give you Monday and Tuesday to go over all this. I give you 2 days, 2 strong days. But my projects aren't closed, okay? But as a suggestion, your pacing guy says, by Friday, you should have taken that Unit 2 quiz. Or, you know, if you're going by what I'm giving you, by Tuesday. Okay, but you guys know your pacing schedule. Some of you guys are ahead, some of you guys are behind, and you shouldn't stress out. Just if you want to see any of this stuff on the next grading period, October 30th, you should have it done for sure by October 30th. But everything else is just a guideline. I'm not going to close it, until the end of the school year, I guess. Okay, even the semester. Actually, I think the semester grades, we got to close them out. I don't really know how that goes, but try to see what fits best with your schedule. Okay. All right. So week 7 is this one right here, and it is password generator. All right. So I will go over that password generator with you, and remember, for any of your projects, you guys can partner up. Okay, now last week we made PAW groups, and that would be a great group. I think in my in my quest to have a paramilitary style classroom, I would make sure that in your PAW groups, you guys work together, and you make sure everybody in the group knows what they're doing. But I do know that during my class, groups start just joining based on friendship or reliability or whatever. And so you could create your own groups for this. Remember, this is one of the only AP tests that you could take together as a group, which I think is great. I don't know if the other classes are doing that, but I know we were one of the first, and I think it works out really well. So you could create your own app together. So if you're going to do the password generator, which is like an app, you should start working with partners that you want to take the AP test with and do that now. I guess what I could do is create other groups in our Canvas. And if you want a special group to work with, your own little Canvas section where you could, comment stuff back and forth and links files, I could make a group for you. Just come up with a really cool name. No, it doesn't have to have a great name. But if you want your own little group, the group that you're going to turn in your AP test with, then go ahead and let me know, and I'll make a Canvas group for you. Okay, or you guys can just text or use Discord or whatever. Okay, so that's what you're doing. Let's open that up and see what that looks like. Okay, so if I go into your class, which is not here, and I go into that. Oh, by the way, I got some great emails from Nicole Lee this weekend on the extra credit assignment. And I like how she is pushing me to get that out there for you guys. And I've been working on that. But if you look at the very bottom, there is an AWS project 2 is posted. Now, I'm not totally done with it because I'm not totally done showing you exactly how I want you to take the project from Cloud 9 into your S3 bucket. So I have one more video to do. I told you it was going to be like 4, 5, 6 videos. It turns out it's going to be about 6 videos to get this one done, but you can at least go in there and get started on it. It's not perfect and I might change it still, but she was anxious and I like her, how excited she is about it. And so here are the videos that we've created for it. And these are the files. Now, one of the questions Nicole had, and you guys probably have the same, is these XD files for my style tile and mood board. Those have to be done with XD. And so what I was hoping was there is a cloud XD, so you could log in and via the cloud upload my files into your cloud XD. I'm not sure if that could happen, and it might be a Adobe Creative Cloud. What I wanted you guys to do, if you don't, did you guys see my icon for that site? See, really terrible. How's he holding on to that thing? Anyway, so if you guys can't do it, I suggested maybe going through Spark. But either way, try to find some colors, and you're going to put those colors as your hexadecimal color choice in your CSS for that website. Okay, so I'll do some more maneuvering for you guys if you can't get that XD cloud version going. I have a feeling we're kind of early. We're kind of early entering into, we want every program to be a cloud program, and I don't think every company has that all situated yet. But they're getting closer, and maybe there's ways we could show you how to do it. Okay, so now you know that how the thing is, and then I have like 11 steps on how to do this thing. Okay, and it's make a mood board, make a style tile, HTML page, and then I give you these pages. Now in here I put index.html, and I think I end up in the file calling a main. It's no different. I just called a main, and I shouldn't confuse you like that. I get that. But just understand if they're index or main, it's the same thing. Okay, so take a look at that. Thank you, Nicole, for pushing me to try to shore that up and get it published. And if it doesn't make sense yet, it's still in the working. Okay, so I'll keep working on that. But I'm very proud of my little AWS project assignments. Okay, so here is what I wanted to talk about. This is the password generator project, and boy, you guys know how important passwords are. I've been pushing passwords for you guys for a long time. I want you guys to have solid passwords. I always say use the Google Authenticator, or use a service like I have on Dashlane. And you want to know what really kind of got me on this this pledge? Like people are like, there's people that will overly cautiously tell you to put on your seatbelt or wear a life jacket if you're in the water. I'm like overly cautious on make a good password. Okay, and then all of a sudden they AP Computer Science Principles in Adhesive does a password generator, and then they do all the warning for me. Okay, and so they say about the vulnerabilities of a bad password and how they're hacked. And I'll just tell you how I started getting very conscious of this. We had a student in CSA who, and by the way, the word is that most passwords are with 1,000 words. So if you had a computer just run 1,000 words, just run a dictionary, it would come up with your password. And computers are so fast now that it'll come up with your password. It'll check every word in the dictionary, and if your word is something that's along the line of the dictionary, it'll find it. And he did it in class. I'm like, ooh. And when I had a senior in my CSA class run through passwords and break a password, then I'm like, you better make sure those things are clear. So this is all about those vulnerabilities, and you have to make strong passwords. And so you'll start right here with this video, this great video on how to make a password. And it's talking about taking 2 social network names and taking the last part of each and then put them together and switch them around. The way to make a good password, it's an algorithm. An algorithm is involved. And so I like this project for you guys just because you guys have to do an algorithm, and you start getting the idea, what's an algorithm? And I had a very good friend, a very older gentleman, ask me, what is an algorithm? And people hear this all the time now because it's a big, kind of a internet thing that came about, algorithm. And what is it? And it's just a formula. it's just a formula. So if you know what the word formula is, then you know what the word algorithm is. And an algorithm in your classes has a bunch of functions you have to do to complete it. So basically you'll be creating an app that will have an algorithm that will use a bunch of functions, which are abstraction, and you have to write about that for your test. That's it. That's all you have to do. You have to put together an algorithm. So basically when you do this password generator, you're doing the AP test. Okay, you're doing an app that has an algorithm with multiple functions. Okay, and like I said, I'm a reader for this one, and I'll go more into the test and how to do it, but you guys should nail it. But I like this as a first thing. And remember, this algorithm gives you a great little look into, this assignment gives you a great little look into what the AP test is. Okay, so as you go through there, look at this, and then it talks about this teamwork thing. And you can work as a team, all right? And they want you to start maybe working together and putting teams together. And if you don't have one, then you can basically just use your PAW group. Either way, I might have your PAW group leader to make sure everybody understands what the project is. But these are some of the ideas of collaboration. We want you guys to collaborate. And remember, tomorrow is that pair programming Tuesday, and we're going to do it again. We're going to work again in your groups. And we want you to say, what did I do yesterday? What did I do today? And what's blocking me? And that what did I do yesterday will be today. So what did you do today is what you're going to be talking about tomorrow. Okay, so make sure you get some coding done today. All right. And so we're trying to create a culture of teamwork. Okay, and that's what they do in big tech to solve problems. Okay, so very cool. Make sure you try to work on this. I know a lot of times you guys want to work alone, but you're not as fast. You're just not as efficient working alone. So how great would it be to do the AWS website where someone gets on there and someone gets really good at Spark and they're doing all the images, and then someone's really good at Cloud9 and they're setting up all the files on Cloud9, and then someone's really good at Terminal and how to take the files and transfer them into your S3 bucket. And then you guys, if you had those three people in a group, you'd be done like that really fast. But if you're doing it all yourself, you're real slow. And in tech, I always say the fastest way is the best way. That's why. Okay, those tech companies are moving so fast that the fastest way is the best way, because they're going to get that app up there and running and get people to sign on, log in, and get that huge user group. All right, and the people that are sitting there trying to make every color perfect, all of a sudden you have a great app, but everyone's already signed into Snapchat, so it's too late. All right, so you gotta be quick. Okay, so that is I don't have a whole lot of instruction on how to do that other than what they already have given you. What I want you to do is work and listen to this video and watch this video. It's self-explanatory, and get that done. And then you'll basically, when you get done, turn this into me. You'll do it in Scratch, and you'll turn the link to your Scratch project into me. Okay. All right. So without further ado, I'm going to move into CSA. If there's no questions from AP Computer Science Principals, let's go into CSA. CSP, you're welcome to watch this if you want. But I'd much rather you guys get going on your password generator project, which is due by the end of the week. Okay, and if you're going to follow me with the AWS project, you're only going to have till tomorrow to actually work on it. But at home, weekends, you got a lot of time, so figure it out. It won't close. Okay, let's go into CSA. How you guys doing? Okay, my big class. I always love my CSA class. These are the big thinkers. Okay, these are the people doing the huge algorithms and huge super thought programming questions and AP questions and nailing it. But I want you guys. The difference between your class and CSP really is, one, you're coding and you're not using blocky code. No, Jed, the password generator actually is an assignment in your adhesive, so that's not extra credit. Okay, CSA is actually really doing code and cranking on the code, and you guys also, what makes you different is you have classes. So today, let's take a look at your pacing guide, and then let's go ahead and do some board work with you guys. All right, so here it is. I have October 5 to 9, and I have this piece right here, Unit 2 review, okay, and Assignment 2 control tower, and then Unit 2 exam. I love it because all my classes seem to be getting done with Unit 2 right now. They really synced all this stuff together, which is really neat. All right, so you in CSA, you should be doing your review and trying to understand all the stuff you did in Unit 2. A big lesson. Classes, objects, constructors, functions, wrappers. Anyway, so your big assignment this week is something called the control tower. So let's take a look at that now. All right, so if I go into your class and I go to your modules, all right, and I come up here to, let's see here. Here is the assignment 2, control tower. All right, and here are the instructions. Read these instructions very carefully. It says in this assignment, you'll be simulating an air traffic control tower. This program uses data of the airplane class type. This is a custom class that you will use for this activity. Okay, it says each airplane object represents an actual airplane that is detected by the tower at the particular instance. Now, remember, I did the Ford plant, and then I think Adhesive did home as their example of objects. And this is a good object too, airplanes, right? Each airplane has a blueprint of how you build the airplane, and then you have each airplane's different because it's taken off and go to different cities. It may be bigger or smaller. It may go faster or higher, whatever it is. So everyone is an object. It flies, and it has a similar function. It flies, okay? But when we create it as an object, we are using that new word, right, to instantiate. It's a big word, right? It's an instance of the plane to instantiate an airplane. However, you could overload the constructor. I don't know if they talked about that yet in Adhesive, or if we've talked about it yet, but you could overload it in the constructor, which means you could send multiple parameters to the constructor, all right? And it'll create an airplane based on the parameters you sent. In this case, you have 2 parameters, okay? Two constructors, one with no parameters put in there, okay, and another with multiple. Okay, so here are the constructors. One is just an airplane, and it has nothing in there. See, this is where you put parameters. Okay, I think they actually call them when they're at this point, they're attributes. Okay, yeah, attributes. All right, and so basically here are this is the second way to do an airplane, and you could send these attributes: a CS, a dist, and a direction, and an alternate route. Okay, let's see what these variables actually mean. Okay, a CS is a call sign, a dist is the distance of miles, okay, and then DIR is degrees of bearing, and alt is your altitude. Okay, so you're going to create 2 airplanes. One just by default, and look at the one that's default. It's going to default to the sign AAA01. Okay, it's on landing strip 1, and it's going 1 mile due north, 0 degrees of the tower at an altitude of 0 feet. That's currently by default. It's still on the runway. Okay, so when you go to code this, you're going to see that you have this piece up here, this import adhesive assignment to airplane. Okay, so when I talk about blueprints for a class, you're not going to even see the blueprints. Okay, you're just going to instantiate the airplane. The blueprints are actually in that class file right there. Okay, but you don't have to either open it up, or you don't even have to know what's in it. Okay, they tell you up above that it has 2 constructors. It has at least 2 constructors. We're not sure. Maybe it has more. Okay, But you're just going to write when you're in the public static void main string args file, you're in what we call the tester. This is the testing file. Okay, you're going to test to see if that class actually works. But for more clarity, let's go to the board and show you how this constructor is actually working. Okay. Okay, so coming over to the board. Now remember the other day we talked about classes and we talked about memory types on your computer. So let's go ahead and draw that up once again. All right, and I'm just trying to get your head around what is really going on. Okay, this is the heap memory. Okay, and then this is going to be the stack memory. Now you're never going to be tested on the heap and stack. I just think it's a clear way. Let me turn my mic up. I just think it's a clear way for you guys to visualize this in your head as you're creating. Okay, so this is the stack memory. I definitely am a little rusty from the weekend because it's actually the opposite. Sorry. You guys are probably yelling at the screen. Hey, you told us something different before. Okay, this is the stack. Okay, and this is the heap. So you might see this, you might have friends or you might have parents that are in programming. They talk about full stack developers. They're talking about this stack piece. Okay, and so you're going to create a new airplane. Okay, and remember when you say equals new, okay, you're going to say equals new airplane. Okay, over here, and there may be something in here or there may not be something in here, but you're playing over there. Over here is going to be the name of your airplane. Okay, so you have to actually name your airplane. So let's call it, I don't know, let's call it DC-10. Okay, and if it's default where there's nothing in there, it's going to create this object over here, but it's not going to be empty. You're automatically going to have the, what's that, call sign, okay? You're going to have, I forgot the other things that it's going to have with it. It wants like its bearing or something like that, okay? And its altitude, it's going to already have it piped in, okay? So if you do it by default, it's going to point to this one, and stuff's already going to be. I feel like there was one more piece there. I apologize. I'm over here now, and I don't know the fourth. I feel like there was 4. Okay. Yeah. No, I'm up here. I have no one to help me out. I feel there was 4. I'm trying to rack my brain to see if it would come to me, but it's not coming to me. Oh, distance. Huh? All right. So distance, and now I know I'm in the. I know I'm in the wrong. I have them in the wrong order now, and there's only 4 pieces. So when you have a default constructor, it still puts those in. All right, now in the other one, you're going to do new, but this time the airplane is going to put in the CS, the distance, the altitude. This was the degree. I forgot what they use for degree. Let's just put degree. And then the distance. Okay, so you're going to put those 4 in, and that's going to create a similar type of thing. It's just going to have on there all 4 things.
One moment.
Okay,
Sorry.
and so
Could you say it again,
yes, degrees, altitude, and I don't know why I made them the same because I know that its distance is somewhere in here.
I found this on the web.
Hey Siri. Hey Siri. Hey Siri, cancel. Siri's listening to me.
Okay.
Okay, so this one, let's say this is now a DC3. It's going to point to this one. The only difference is when I created this object, I actually went ahead and piped in the parameters or attributes that actually the plane's going to be made of. This one, I'd say, just give me a default plane. And you can put them in later. You could actually change these later. So that's the difference between doing a default one and one that has this. It's just when I create them, I actually get to pipe them in. And you might try doing, this might have other ones. I know I'm running out of room over there on the board, but maybe try doing one of these without 2 of the parameters and see if that works. You might just get to put 2 in there, okay? And or maybe just one thing. Maybe you could just put the call sign. And there might be more constructors in there. A lot of times they'll have multiple constructors, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so try to put other ones. I don't know if you could actually get into the file, the airplane class, and look at it, but if you open up the airplane class, that would be the blueprint for airplane, and they would show you all the constructors. Okay, so that's it for my little board section. If there's questions, let me know, and let me slip back over. All right, so that's where you're going to take care of that. I think that's not going to be too bad for you guys. They actually give you a very good plug right here. All right, so you can actually, it's just doing some inputs, and you're going to put in the call sign. Did I get that right, by the way? It's, let's see what it is. Distance in miles. Yeah, okay, right here it says what they are. Okay, so distance, call sign, distance in miles from the tower, bearing, DIR is what the degrees is. I should have known that. It's pretty simple. And then altitude. Okay, so those are the 4 attributes you're going to use as you create this. In here, they tell you what functions they each have. Now, remember, these functions would be in the blueprint. Okay, you don't get to know how they're written. You just know that you can use these functions. All right, so use those functions to get the airplane to where it's at and follow those instructions. And I think it's pretty straightforward from there. Okay, all right, so if there's no questions about that, I will go ahead and close this episode. So hope that you enjoyed it. Remember, always trying to make you great and help you innovate. So until next time, Paul, you have a question? Oh yeah, you can leave a comment down below. Or you can go to the website at www.themightycodecoder.com or find me on Twitter at mightycodecoder. Thank you for watching. Whoops.